light on this. But I want to ask you here, because I think this is a question that comes up a lot, especially when it comes to talking about the soul and what role the actual soul plays with us. You know, we have the mind, the body, and some would say the soul, and the connection that it plays in our transformation as becoming gods and goddesses walking on this earth. What is that connection between the soul, and what do we need that for in our transformation?
The soul is all there really is. Everything else is a projection of the soul. And this particular soul, when it starts to wake itself up, which is a sun, S-U-N-S-O-N.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Or a star. Every man, every woman is a star. Whenever it starts to wake itself up, it does various things. Some souls are still asleep. So therefore, in place of it, the ego exists and supposes itself to be the individual. That's most people. But then when the soul starts to wake up, it starts to send signals to the consciousness to remember itself. So you start reading, you start studying, and you start, going into this particular consciousness. Now, there's several distractions in there, because when the soul is trying to do it, the ego is still involved, and it's a hard process because you can get distracted again, which means the ego can go, hey, this soul is waking up, but I still love it. I want to exist. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a part of this knowledge that ultimately will wake this soul up, and I'm going to have this person get locked in one of the areas of the knowledge. And it will suppose itself it's being knowledge, but because it is locked into one area, that's nothing but a form of ego. That's why they say master nothing. So the story goes in the Holy Grail, they got a knight called Parzival. Parzival is a knight that was raised in the country by his mother. His father was a knight. The father gets killed. The mother says, it's a horror story, basically. The father was a knight. The father gets killed. The mother said, I don't want him to be no knight. So she raises him way in the woods. And he plays with nature and everything. And so one day, he's out there in the woods, and he sees a shining knight in a silver shining suit. And he said, oh, my God, that's God. So he runs and tells his mom, tells his mama, say, Mom, I want to be a knight. And she almost faints. But she knows he's getting to be 18 now, and she can't hold him forever. So she has one of these plans. She takes him and sews him up a court jester's uniform and says, this is the uniform of a knight. So her plan is when he comes there looking like a clown at King Arthur's court, they will laugh him out of the court, and he will run back home and never want to be a knight again. So he rides off to King Arthur's court. As soon as he rides off, she falls off dead. And the reason why she falls out dead, because when you're on this bridge, if you try to go backwards, you fall. You can never go backwards. You can never go home. So what happens here is, he gets to the court, knight's court, and they are laughing and laughing and laughing at him with this court jester in such a ridiculous outfit, till it gets the ear of King Arthur. Thus, he's able to go into, it works the opposite. He's able to go right in front of King Arthur because of this funny outfit. And later on, he ends up becoming a knight, but all of this is the key. All of the knights were proficient and masters, but they are always masters at one discipline.
Right.
Which means that you're still locked in a box. Whereas Parzival, because he was not raised into knighthood and came from humble origins, he was able to get the Holy Grail when the other ones were not able to get the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is, i.e., his own soul, and rise to the God level. That's what the mystery is. He is able to get the Holy Grail for the simple fact that by him not mastering the discipline, he was able to ride through all of the disciplines. You see what I'm saying? And get his own soul. So mastering, you master something, but if you master one section, you're only inflating your ego. By him being the divine fool, which is the tarot card, is called the fool. And it is the only tarot card that can be used throughout the entire deck. It masters all. So that's what the humility is. So in so many words, you have to trick the ego to keep letting you go. So to give you an example, back in 98, I produced my dark side lectures and started explaining all this stuff based on the dark side.
Right.
Now, I became famous with it, but I could have used it as a theology and say, that's what I'm an expert at, and that's all I'm going to do.
Right.
And I would have got stuck. Hell, I'm talking about fucking archangels now in the relationship. So you never get stuck. You never turn anything into a theology. And that is the reason why most of these systems that people initiate in, they're never going to work, because they are only a fragment of something, and ultimately the ego can latch on to that. So in so many words, the soul sends this particular information so it can get to know itself, so it can remember who it is.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? But the ego is there for distraction. But the soul is all there really is. And it's an entire maze between the soul and you. And you. And so what you have to ultimately do is to surrender and give up and say, I don't exist. So what I had to do is I had to get rid of Bobby Hemmit.
Right.
You see, and all that was dear to me. You see. That way you can eliminate the possibility of the ego latching on. Bobby Hemmit ain't around now for the ego to latch on. You see what I'm saying? I ain't got no goddamn scruples. None. No scruples whatsoever. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know.